How did your high school crush turn out as an adult? My only GF in high school was my crush. Her mom banned her from dating me after about a year because my GF admitted to her mom that we were fooling around. This was about 20 years ago. She's still living with her mom. No kids. And as far as I know never again dated seriously after her mom broke us up. Still has the same job from high school too. It's like her mom went way into protective overdrive and my former GF never grew up. She's still hot, successful and wealthy entrepreneur, and married someone with the same first name as me and who quit his job to brew beer. I crushed on her for a bit, didn't think she was interested so I dated others, then come to find out she crushed on me senior year. I was too dumb and blind. We connected freshman year of college. She wrote me letters, and by the time I wised up she had moved on. No one to blame but myself. She worked with the Obama administration. I forgot in what capacity. Got married to some politician's son. Don't remember, don't care to look up. She is happy and that's the only thing that matters. Oh, she was also our school's valedictorian. She was so busy with her job she could not organize a high school reunion, so that's a plus. I wasn't head over heels for her, I admired her but I knew I wasn't for her. Then there's another crush of mine. We ran into each other years after graduation at grocery store. After talking I asked her out to dinner at my house. I pull out all the stops, I buy rainbow trout fillets and make all the fixings. 6:30 rolls around, I open the door and who the hell is this man behind her? Oh, this is my fiancé, she tells, neglected to tell me about me. Turns out they wanted to sell me on some MLM thing. She tried to cross the threshold, I put my arm out and asked them politely to leave. I turned away from the door and had my saddest meal I ever ate. There was a girl I really admired for a while. She didn't really give me the time of day after freshman year though. She was co-valedictorian and hugged me as I crossed the stage at graduation, and no one else got one. I'm still really confused about that 6 years later. She went on to med school and is either married or at least engaged to a guy she met there. Overall she's doing really well, and I'm happy for her. I had 3. 1 from the first 2 years and 2 from the last 2. The first one is now F2M trans, who walked to Colorado to join a cult commune. He is now in Arizona recording rap albums. The second girl moved to Florida and lives in a swamp. She periodically hits me up to tell me she misses me. How dumb I was that I didn't follow through, that we should get married. The third was a missionary. She wasn't really into it once she grew up, came back home and I introduced her to one of my closest friends. They've been married for 15 years. 0/3. They both ended up as great guys. One has a huge family and is a minister. The other only has 1 child and is a college professor. Both married nice people and are happy. They were really good guys in high school and ended up being really good adults. I've got both of them on Facebook and we keep in touch peripherally as we stayed friends over the years. I remember walking up to her and asking if we could talk in private, and she said you can say what you need in front of everyone. Her group of friends were all around, so I asked if she wanted to go on a date. She burst out laughing and said yeah. No. She was rough, man. Looked her up last year and she's a cage fighter now. What? I had several. One of them is still a close friend, and he became a primary care doctor. He also officiated my wedding. I have no idea what happened to another one. We didn't really have overlapping friend groups and she doesn't do social media. One of them is a math professor now, so that's pretty cool. My biggest crush in high school was my longtime neighbor, but it also fizzled out pretty quickly after we went to homecoming together. We're still good friends, and our families still keep in touch. He's also the guy who introduced me to my husband. Very well. He joined the military and served for a number of years, was in after Vietnam and out before the Gulf War, so I'm not sure if he actually saw much active duty, and then settled in Korea where he trained in Taekwondo and did a lot of professional fighting, and won a lot of awards, attained the rank of Grandmaster and returned to the US and opened a very successful school that specializes in TKD and Hapkido, has opened additional locations, and is currently looking to open one in our old hometown. I imagine that will happen post-COVID. I had a few in high school. One ended up moving away after sophomore year and no one knew why. She reached out to me when I had a mental breakdown online and said that she could understand what I was going through. Some effed up sh happened to her, though she never said what specifically. I didn't ask further because it wasn't my business to pry. I'm not sure how she is now. Another got super hot after high school and she did a degree in science. Again, not sure where she is now, but I think she doing alright. And the third works at a bank. We ended on bad terms, partially my fault. I found out she was making fun of me behind my back and had done so 4 months beforehand, so I sent her an angry message. Haven't seen her since then. Back when I was younger and crushing hard, I got on AOL Instant Messenger and had gotten my crush's screen name from a friend. I worked up the nerve to start a conversation with him, and soon after some awkward small talk he sent me a message in Comic Sans, black background, red lettering, and in French. I then went to Google for translation and found out he had just called me a pig, in French. Being a seemingly awkward and chubby teenager, I was literally crushed. The heartbreak was only made worse by remembering that a few weeks prior I had selected to take French class the next year and couldn't change it. Years later, now that I've blossomed, he follows me on every social media platform, has reached out a couple of times to try and flirt, hang out. Hard pass. I believe he's moved away and is a teacher now. Oh, one I can comment on. To be honest, this is more junior high crush than high school, but the story stands back on my first day of 7th grade. I had just moved up to a new school and I met a girl named Charlie. Well, Charlie had a twin, whose name was Christine. Charlie insisted on introducing me to Christine, and yelled at her to come across the lunch area to us. Christine was very clumsy and tripped and almost landed on top of me. I fell head over heels. I, however, was way too afraid to say anything. A few years later, I get out of the Navy and go home, and need a place to stay for a few days. Charlie offers Christine spare room. I moved in, and in the middle of the night I saw Christine for the first time since 2007, and my jaw dropped. She was always attractive, but I guess she became a health nut after having 2 kids with her ex. Instantly, crush reappeared, but this time I had the post-Navy confidence and said something. Turned out she fell for me back in 2007 on that day too, but she was quite scared and nervous. Within a week of moving and we were dating. It's been almost 4 years, and we have added 2 more kids to the lot. Please send help. So many kids, lol. Still very much in love and happy. She turned out great. A wonderful, smart, caring woman who is a sucker for dumplings and cheesy romances. My fiancé admitted that during high school, she had this massive crush on me, saw how well I did with kids, but she never worked up the courage to tell me. Had a few girlfriends, none of them lasted. Couldn't figure out if it was me or not. I call up my future fiancé one day out of the blue. We hadn't spoken in a year. I asked if she would like to hang out. She asked me for help with her studies that night. I don't know why I called her in the first place. I never realized how pretty she was until she walked down the stairs to greet me. She was in her PJs, but that didn't matter to me. I was suddenly giddy. A few days later, she starts scrolling through our contacts, asking if there's anyone on there that I like. I told her yes, and she starts pointing out every vaguely female-like name. Hers was at the very bottom because of her last name. When she gets there, she responds, "All that's left is my name." Yep. 1, 2, oh, it's me? Well, that was 5 years ago. I honestly consider myself very lucky to be with her. With the number of things that had to go just right.